Madden 21 is just a little over a week away from release, so it's time to talk about the 15 things that you need to know before buying the game. Some of these things might determine whether you buy the game or whether you decide to skip the game this year. Now, if you're new to the channel and you want to be up to date on all of your latest Madden news, make sure to subscribe, turn the bell icon on so that you never miss out on any of these important uploads. I should have some early gameplay footage to show off for you guys in a few days, so if you don't want to miss that, make sure those notifications are turned on. Now let's get into the list. Number one is something you can kind of say about Madden a lot of years, but I think it's very true this year more than some of these past years. It's not the biggest upgrade. I kind of view Madden as it's really a every other year type of upgrade. I think you get the most out of buying a new Madden when you buy it every other year, because it seems like every other year is when they put a little bit more newness into the game, and then on the other year they kind of just build on what they put in the game the previous year, and that kind of seems to be what they've done for 21. It mostly looks like they've just built on a lot of things they established in Madden 20 while tweaking some things and adding a few little new things here. There is a new game mode, however, which we'll cover in a little bit, but other than that, it's really not the biggest upgrade this year. Number two, abilities are back. You might love them, you might hate them. They're really polarizing, but they are definitely back this year. They were added last year, and they've built back on them this year. They did some balancing with them to kind of make some of the overpowered abilities seem a little less overpowered. At least that's what has been marketed to us. They also switched some abilities. They took some out. They added some new ones. The whole wide receiver group of abilities and the defensive back group of abilities have kind of been redone, and I think they did them in a better way to make them a little bit more specific to how those individual players play. Some of the pass rush abilities have been changed, and they've added some new crazy things like the Avalanche X Factor and things like that. I'll have a link below in the description where you can go read over every single ability and every single X Factor ability in the game, see who has them, see what they do, because it's a very long list. It would take about 30 minutes to cover them all, so I'll leave that link in the description below. Number three on the list, the biggest addition to the game, a brand new game mode called The Yard. Probably the biggest reason to upgrade from Madden 20 if I had to pick one reason, because it's an entirely new mode, something that you cannot get in Madden 20. It's basically backyard football, NFL street style, something a lot of people have asked to come to the game for years, especially because NBA 2K has done so well with their park mode. Everybody loves it. It's one of their most played modes. People have wanted something like that in Madden, and it looks like this is EA's kind of foot in the door to doing something like that. You get to play 6 versus 6. You can play head-to-head online, or you can play versus the CPU and go through challenges. The 6 versus 6 online is actually 3 players versus 3 players, and then you have 3 computer-controlled players on your team as well, and you can switch back and forth between your custom-created player and an NFL player that you pick to join your team. There's a whole lot of customization in this mode, a lot of gear you can pick, a lot of stuff you can customize, like your arm sleeves, mouthpieces, visors, cleats, shorts, hoodies. You know, you can dress your guy how you want to dress him. You can play through the mode. The more you play through challenges and play through online head-to-head, you earn credit to go towards your character. You earn skill points to upgrade your character. You earn and unlock new customization items like gear and equipment and all this stuff. Looks really fun. Looks like something that I, personally cannot wait to dive into. Definitely an arcade style mode. If this is your cup of tea, this should be a lot of fun for you, but if you're more of the sim style and you don't like to play the arcade modes, then this is something that's not really going to sell the game for you. Number 4, one of the biggest ones on this list, franchise mode is literally untouched. They received so much uproar. The hashtag #FixMaddenFranchise was trending because they literally did nothing to regular franchise mode this year. So much so that there was an uproar that they had to come out and say, look, we know we didn't do anything, but we plan to update franchise mode throughout the year with title updates, and they said that they're going to add some new things to it. They also went as far as to come out and say what they plan to do for Madden 22's franchise, which you never see them talk about the next game that early. So that should tell you all you need to know about franchise mode this year. Yes, it is slated to get some updates throughout the year, but at the launch of the game, there's going to be nothing new there, literally nothing new. So if you're a franchise mode player, there's absolutely no reason to upgrade this game, at least not until the updates roll out, and you can see at that point if those upgrades are worth you buying the game, maybe at that point later in the year at a discounted price. Number 5, face of the franchise returns, and it definitely looks to be better than last year. It was kind of bland last year. I'm expecting it to probably be somewhat bland again this year, but they at least added more to it. You get to play in high school, you get to play more college games, and it sounds like from what they're saying is the storylines when you get to the NFL are going to be much more in depth. It's not going to be just regular franchise mode once you get your player to an NFL team. It sounds like each year there's going to be different dynamic storylines that your player has to go through. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out, but it sounds like they added a little bit more meat on the bones to Face of the Franchise this year. But if you're expecting it to be like 2K's My Player, I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to that, at least not yet. Number 6 on the list, something we just mentioned. High school football is back in Madden as part of the Face of the Franchise mode. Something we really loved, especially in the NCAA games where you could start in high school and then you work your way through college. You do get to start in high school this year. You get to pick your high school team. There's some light customization in it where you can pick, I guess, your team name and the logo for your team, and you get to play some high school games. There's going to be a storyline that you go through in high school before you wind up making it to college. So if you're interested in that type of, storyline gameplay where you get to go through all those motions, that might be something you're interested in. Which brings us to number 7 on the list. College football is back for the second year in a row in Madden by way of Face of the Franchise. This year, it looks like you get to play more college games than last year. Not a whole lot more. Last year, you got to play, I believe, 2 games. This year, it looks like you get to play 4, maybe 5 games. So a little bit better, a little bit more college experience. The colleges that are in the game are going to be LSU, Clemson, Florida, Michigan State, Nebraska, Miami, USC, Oregon, Texas, and Oklahoma. Number 8 on the list, the ball carrier skill stick. This was something that I believe was in the game before, but they kind of brought it back, revamped it. Now you can perform every single move on the stick instead of having to press all of the various buttons. There still are buttons for certain things, like you have to press the Y or triangle button, a hurdle of course, but on the stick you can now chain the moves together a lot easier. You can go between jukes, spins, dead legs, and hurdles a lot more seamlessly because they've all been kind of refined on the skill stick. There are also some new ball carrier moves like the dead leg, which looks really cool. It's more of a modern move, more so than the regular juke that has been in Madden for years. You also have new hurdles, especially the side hurdle, which is, again, a little bit more modern. You rarely see a player jump clean over a defender. They usually do more of that side hurdle where a guy's diving at his legs and he just tries to like jump over him to the side. That move is now in the game as well. So it looks like in terms of being a ball carrier, you'll be able to have a little bit more freedom and a little bit more fluid movement in chaining these juke moves together in Madden 21. Number 9, they brought back the D-line pass rush stick. For the people that like to use the D-line, this might be the year for you, because if you wanted to use the D-line before, there wasn't really much to it. You kind of just mashed a couple buttons. This year, they've revamped it, brought back the pass rush stick, where now you can perform a bunch of different moves on the joystick, turning it in certain directions, pressing it in certain directions, and if you can set the offensive lineman up and get good at this mechanic, it does look like it might be a little bit beneficial to use. So if you're a guy that likes to use the D-line, you're going to have a lot more freedom and a lot more creativity on those pass rushers this year with the new D-line pass rush stick. Number 10, better computer AI. I think this is going to be more important for the franchise mode crowd, but they did say that they have overhauled the CPU AI, but of course, they've said this years before, and it's still, the AI has always been kind of off in Madden, but they said things specifically like clock management, that the CPU is going to be much better at clock management and not do these nonsensical things in situations where time is of the essence. It also said that the ball carriers for the computer are going to be a little bit smarter. They're going to make smarter cuts. They're going to hit the holes smarter. They're going to make better decisions. Again, I feel like they've said things like this before, so it's a thing that I have to see to believe, but this is what they've said. They also said the QB play by the AI is going to be smarter. If you're trying to blitz them heavy, they're going to be more aware of this. They're going to be more aware of their checkdowns, their hot reads. They're also going to be more aware of scrambling when you're trying to blitz them, or if you're not keeping QB spies on the field for those mobile quarterbacks. Number 11 on the list is just gameplay changes. I'm grouping a few things together here. Every year there's gameplay changes, and every year there's more gameplay bugs that pop up and more glitches and more overpowered things that people find. But at the beginning of every year, one thing that is always tackled is trying to fix some of the bad gameplay issues from the year before. So certain things they did this year was the user defender. They have completely overhauled this and really limited what the user can do. In past Maddens, you can stop on a dime and change direction very quickly, and that allowed you to jump all over the field unrealistically with your user defender. Now, they have changed the elusiveness rating to a change of direction rating, and this is now going to work for the offense and the defense, whereas the old elusiveness rating only pertained to the offense. The change of direction rating is going to pretty much say how quick you can change direction, and most of these linebackers and safeties, they're not going to have a super high change of direction. Maybe your really elite guys that can move in the field will, but because of this new rating, now you kind of have to commit to just trying to take away one route. Maybe you can take away 2 routes if they're like in a same spot of the field, but you can't just completely stop on a dime and run all over the field anymore. They've definitely limited the user. They've also added new run archetypes with these gameplay changes, so now your bigger backs like Derrick Henry will move much more differently than a guy like a Tyreek Hill in the open field. It goes by weight and size and things like that. It affects their stride, how quick they can change direction, and how fast they move. They've also buffed the run D. We know in Madden 20 the run was really overpowered. The run D seems to be better this year, especially from playing the beta version of the game. Linebackers are definitely more aware in their gaps. The force defenders are better against stretch plays. So while the run will still be viable, it shouldn't be nearly as hard to stop as last year. And lastly, for these gameplay changes, they added a new zone drop feature, which you can set in your coaching adjustments. You can make your zone defenders drop as far back as you want, and this is going to be useful for taking away those really annoying deep crossing routes and deep corner routes that it seems like no zone in the game can ever guard. They always get over the top of it. Now you can set your zones to drop back at the exact spot on the field that you need them to if someone's trying to abuse you with those deep routes. Number 12 on the list, NFL Live Playbooks 2.0 is back. I think this was a good addition last year. It's coming back this year, and they said that there's going to be more updates this year. What this basically means is there's a basic playbook that every team has, and then every team also has what's called an NFL Live Playbook that gets updated various times throughout the year and up to date with what real NFL teams are using in-game. So you get new plays, new formations, and new things added to these playbooks and various updates throughout the year. So it keeps them fresh and most, up to date with what these teams are running in real life. Number 13 on the list, the Washington football team. Yes, the old name will not be in the game at launch. They will be the Washington football team. It may have to be in a patch that's downloaded on day 1. I don't know if it's going to come right out of the disc as the Washington football team, but there is going to be that day 1 patch where it's going to change them over to the Washington football team with their new uniforms, and you will no longer see the old team name in the game anymore. So Madden 20 is the last year that you see the old Washington team. A lot of people have asked, are they going to be updated for Madden 21? And yes, the answer is yes. Number 14 on the list, Next Gen. Next Gen's dropping in a few months, something to keep in mind before buying this version of the game, but I'll get into a little bit more of that in the next point. But what you need to know about Next Gen is there should be some changes, but we haven't really heard a lot about it yet. The only thing we've heard is more attention to detail is going to be brought to Next Gen with more memory being unlocked. Of course, it's going to look a lot better. They mentioned things like the weather effects and the players on the field. It's just going to be a little bit more attention to detail. I would like to see them finally update the sidelines that have been dead in Madden for years and add those nice little features that people would really like to see in the game. So keep in mind, Next Gen will be here probably around November. We don't know a whole lot about it yet, but it'll likely be a little bit better of a version than the Madden 21 on current gen. And number 15 on the list is upgrading for Next Gen. So this is something you need to know, because a lot of people are saying, should I buy it on current gen or should I wait for Next Gen? Well, here's the thing. If you buy Madden 21 on current gen, you can upgrade it for free to Next Gen as long as you do it before the next Madden game comes out. There's a way with these new systems where they have smart delivery. So if you have bought the game on current gen, when you want to go over to Next Gen, you can upgrade it for free, which is nice. So you don't have to buy Madden twice this year. So if you don't feel like waiting until November, you can buy it now and know that you can safely upgrade for free when you get your Next Gen system. However, some people might just want to wait for Next Gen entirely because, again, this year it hasn't been the biggest upgrade overall, so there's really no rush to jump into the game if you're looking for more of an overhaul. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.